All right, so I am now recording, so therefore don't say anything you don't want recorded. Okay, so let's just be clear on that one. But again, let's be also clear. If you have any questions, just shout them out. Okay, and because especially as I start to share slides, I can't see the chat, so just turn on your microphone and say, "Yo, stop." That said, as I was just saying here, we'll go through the schedule here, and you have to understand, those of you who are watching remotely, who are watching asynchronously, no problem at all. The whole point of this class is to fit your schedule as conveniently as possible. By definition of the fact that you're taking this online, it's because you have other commitments and you can't be in a classroom right now. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. So it means that you have lives. And that's one of the reasons I love teaching this class probably more than any of the other classes that I teach. It's because you're actually out there in the real world, you're experiencing real stuff, and you're busy people. You're people who are, by definition, very busy, which I am honored that you would take my class. I gave you my resume last class, and I tried to give you the option to drop the class if you didn't think I was qualified to teach a class that you were interested in. So I am honored that you chose to stick it out and take the second time. Thank you very much. Let me thank you right away. And so when it comes to the thing I need to make really clear, let me pause here, make sure everybody gets this. Really clear. Everyone, all of the due dates that are in Canvas, okay, are completely flexible. Do you understand that? Let me just stop. I'm going to stop for just a sec. Stop the share here for just a sec. Does everybody understand what that means? So if it says that it's due on this day, but that day's busy for you, and you're going to be a few days late, A, I don't care. B, I will never grade against you. You will never lose points in any way, shape, or form for being tardy of any kind. When I first wrote this class, I didn't have due dates because in entrepreneurship, due dates are meaningless. But what is meaningful is that you work on a project, you complete a project, and you're done with this project. And I hope that you make your own schedules for things that you kind of go along. But I was asked to put due dates, so I put due dates, which helps people. A lot of us need a schedule in order to function through our days, and I understand that. I have a schedule, I make my own schedule. As entrepreneurs, I'll bet you Wendy would attest to this. She makes her own schedule, but then she sticks to it. And others have to kind of work together in teams. So guess what? You're going to build teams about halfway through this class. You're going to have to make your own schedules. But as far as the class is concerned, if it says it's due on August the 25th, or it's due on September the 9th, and you turn it in on September the 10th, there is no points taken off at all. Remember this about entrepreneurship. No one ever remembered a late presentation, just a bad one. Very true. Okay, I'm sharing screen back on here. Back to let's look at where we are, and then I've got a couple of concepts I want to go through with you. And then I have a cool thing we're going to try at the end. All right, so here is our schedule. Some of you have introduced yourself. The vast majority of you have. If you have not, please do it. This is an online class where we're going to build companies. You need to introduce each other, yourselves. You need to read each other's introductions. That is why it was kind of a low key ramping up in the class. I wanted you to take your time, be a little bit bored, maybe take a look at the final feasibility guidelines and rubric and see that it's a pretty beefy final deliverable. There's a bunch there. This is not a fluff course, but it's reasonable and it's laid out in the very beginning. But if the other thing is, I needed you to take a look at how you introduce yourselves to each other. And so we can just take a quick look here. And some of us here, Carlos and Jacqueline and Leah and Dana. And so some of us are really getting in here. Vipul, I'm going to say, Jacob, John Jones here, and Isaac and Isha. Isha, am I saying your name right? Is it Isha? Is that with a?
Yeah, that's right.
Is it long vowel?
Yep.
Excellent. And Olivia, we have two Olivias, and Ari and Daniel. So you got to read each other's intros here, because the next thing that happens is you're going to get, oh, there's Peter and Ben and Alex. I don't mean to not name everybody, but you see what my point is. I wanted you to take a little bit of time and actually read it and actually kind of get into it. And I see that some of us did, which is terrific. Because the next thing that happens is we need to move into a thorough evaluation of our own selves. And some of us who've been at it for a while and we've been in the real world and working and everything, I'll bet you don't think about this stuff very often. Kind of, it's almost like embarrassing. It's sort of self-glorifying when you do this kind of stuff, especially those of us who are in the entrepreneurial mindset. We don't like to dwell on our successes. We like to fix the things that are wrong. We focus on, oh, well, this is wrong. I need to make myself healthier, stronger, thinner, bigger, smarter, whatever. It's always get better and do something more. It's never, well, what am I really good at? What are my real skill sets here? What am I fantastic at? And so for me, one of the things that I had to go through personally, as we all do, well, perfect example. Like at some point in my life, I was pursuing flying and teaching flying. And am I better at teaching or am I better at flying? Well, I think I'm probably better at teaching than I am at flying. And so my teaching kind of developed. And I still fly, but teaching kind of drove flying. That was just for me personally. We've got, all of us have this thing we have to do together. It's called the entrepreneurial discovery exercise. So this is the next thing that's due. And this other thing called the personal value pitch. The two are part and parcel of each other. You must do the entrepreneurial discovery exercise first. Let's take a look, shall we? Entrepreneurial discovery exercise. Let's take a look here and download your document, and we'll go ahead and zoom in here and take a look. Well, what's this all about? What are we doing here? Well, this is a fantastic tool, very, very fantastic tool that helps you take a look at what you're good at. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What have you been great at in the past? What accomplishments have you achieved? Let's think about accomplishments. What skills do you have? And remember, a skill is a competency. We're going to get more into other competencies later, but right now, let's just call skill one of the core competencies. It's something that you learn how to do, something you learn how to do and you're good at, you enjoy doing, and you're good at it. You required some kind of talents, maybe, or some kind of knowledge, and it came together and it's something that you do. Then we're going to actually take a look at different information channels. We're going to chart our actual accomplishments. Now, why is this important that you do this before the pitch? Okay, you ready? It's so simple. I know you're saying, some of you are saying, this is like coming from, baby school. This is like university of the obvious. Guess what? Entrepreneurship is university of the obvious. All you have to do is open your eyes and see the stuff. The next thing is you do a personal value pitch. This is the next step beyond introducing yourself. First, you introduced yourself as a human being. Then you read something about your skills, your abilities, the things that you've learned. Then you're not going to do this if there's a great big explosion bomb here. I'm not really sure why that is there, but let's get rid of that, shall we? Let's go back and undo that. I think I made it not available until you do your exercise, the entrepreneurial discovery exercise. Nope, it's not working. Okay, well, I guess I have to fix that. Okay, well, anyway, all right. So if it did work, you would click on this thing and it would turn on a recorder and it would allow you to record yourself. And the idea being you're supposed to record yourself in a pitch to your peers for something to hire. It says using the video tool and your entrepreneurial discovery information, prepare and execute a pitch to your classmates for your services. Now, am I kidding about this? No, I'm serious. Some of you live in Pittsburgh, some of you live in Erie, some of you live in Du Bois, some in Philadelphia. We live all over Pennsylvania, so be careful what you pitch. So I want you to take this as seriously as possible. Let's say you go through your entrepreneurship discovery thing and you realize you're really good at translating. You're really good at a language, or you're really good at raking, or you're really good at driving. This is where I want you to pitch yourself for real in a minute to get real money from your peers. So I'm going to stop the share here and just pause. Does everybody understand what that means? So let me give you a good example of something that I did. When I was in college, when I was an undergraduate a million years ago, I graduated, and my first thought was, when I graduated from college, I did not want to work all summer. I'm a surfer. I like to surf. I surfed a lot growing up, and my ambition in life was to spend the entire summer in Barbados surfing. Now, I did not have a lot of money saved up. I only worked at Domino's Pizza. But that's important. So I have a couple $100 together. I've got my surfboard, got my stick. I go over to Barbados. We gotta pay for the flights, and I have almost nothing left over, but I want to stay there all summer. I look at my chart of accomplishments, and I realize, well, I know how to drive cars, and that's worth something. And I happened to notice when I got to Barbados that there were a lot of older individuals who had to rent cars. So you're 70 something years old or whatever, and you go over to Barbados for a couple weeks, 2 weeks or whatever, and you have to rent a car. You have to understand a couple things about Barbados. First of all, the roads are about this thin. Highways are, like this thin. They're not fun. Second thing, it's British driving. Third thing, the cars, a lot of them are all manual transmissions. So imagine you're 70 something years old, you're going away to Barbados for 2 weeks, you decide you want to see the island, you don't want to sit on these buses and wait forever and ever and ever. Do you see what I'm describing here? I'm describing something called a pain and a problem. It's not only a need, I'm there, I need to go see the island because I'm there on touring. I have a problem. I can't drive stick shift. I don't want to drive on little teeny roads. I'm 70 years old. Don't want to drive on the wrong side of the road. I've never done this my entire life. That's called a need, a problem, also called a pain. We'll get back to that. Now, this is what I want you to do, okay? You look at your skill set, and now you're going to pitch yourself to your classmates for something that you can do and actually get paid to do, for real. And I actually was there. I saw the rental cars, and I see these people there, and I said, oh, this sounds like a slam dunk. What am I good at? Well, I'm a professional driver. I mean, I'm not really a professional driver, but I am a professional driver. I deliver pizzas. That's a profession, sort of, and you get paid for it. And I drive for a living, and I'm a college student. So I walk up to a couple, and I see them taking one look at this British style stick shift thing, thinking we're going to die. And I approached them, and I pitched it. Hi, my name's Brad. I just graduated from college. I'm trying to stay here for the summer. I'm a professional driver. I've been delivering pizzas all around Philadelphia and everything, and I feel very confident that I can handle driving you anywhere you want to go. And here's my proposal: for $5 a day, I'll drive you anywhere you want to go. And I particularly picked them because there was no problem, Ari. Just watch the video later. I made sure it was a car that my stick would sit on the roof, like I could strap it on the roof. And I said, I'll take you anywhere you want to go, as long if you don't have any problem with me taking my surfboard along. I'll drive you wherever you want to go. $5 a day, and lunch. And while you're touring something, if you don't mind, I'll go and surf. And so I literally, and then they handed me off to somebody else, and I did that all summer long. Now, did I have a name to the business? No, it was I Want to Surf business. Would you call that an entrepreneurship? Hardly. I mean, if you're a surf bum, maybe. Is it expensive to eat in Barbados? No, actually, you could live on one fried fish. And did you know that the national food of Barbados is baked macaroni and cheese? I mean, can you think of a better national food for starving college student? Baked macaroni and cheese? Anyway, that's what I want you to think about here. That's the kind of thing we're going for here. Think of the stuff that you can do and pitch to your peers in this thing. What questions do we have?
So for the pitch, are we just choosing one skill from
One.
the assignment?
That's it. And here's the thing, Jacqueline. It's one thing that you think one or more of your peers would give you actual money to do. So it might be sweep their bedroom. It might be rake the leaves under their tree. It might be drive them to their recital a couple of times a week. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be big. It's just something that has to come. Now, it could be two things. Okay, so like, let's say you have a nice car, you're good at driving, and you know your way around State College. So technically that's more than one thing, but you're selling one thing. Does that make sense?
Yes. So, sorry, I'm just a little confused on what other skills we could list in like the assignment itself. It could be anything.
Yeah, anything. So I'll go ahead and switch over back here. Let's go back here and let's just take a quick look. And we'll go back to the one before. Let's just take a quick look here at the discovery exercise. So you following along here?
Yes.
Okay. So let's pull this one up here, and it should download, and I should be able to pull that up here. Oh, there. Why isn't that working? There it is. Okay. And so we'll go ahead and click on here. And so it says, if we read through the assignment here, it says, what you need to do is you need to think in terms of a number of things that you have turned into skills over the years, and then put these things together into what we'll call accomplishments that you have done. So let's say you were really good at spelling or learning a language or a sport. All these things, you're going to filter through all of them to put together a chart of accomplishments and the skills and expertise that it took to get to those things. And we're going to put them right here, you see here in this chart of accomplishments. Once you have it all listed out, that's when you'll be able to kind of go through and pick and choose them to put that together into something that you could do for your peers. Does that help at all?
Yeah. So for the chart itself, I see that it says like accomplishments on the left,
Mm-hmm.
and do we need to fill it all or just until we think it's like enough detail for each accomplishment?
That's a great question, Jacqueline. This is for you. Okay. As far as grading goes, if you do anything, you get full credit for having done it.
Okay.
As far as your value pitch, if you're going to get something out of this, you're going to dig. You're going to find what is in here because you're going to use this video tool from that thing. You're going to prepare and execute a pitch to get hired. Now, are you going to not pass if you don't get hired? Of course not. But are you going to get something out of this if you actually get somebody to say, hey, I'll give you $5 if you do that? Which one do you think you personally are going to get more out of?
Okay. Sounds good.
It's up to you. Again, this is up to you. You know, the fact that you handed it in, you get full credit for it.
Okay.
Do you want to
Great.
get
Thank
something
you.
real out of it? Yeah, exactly. It's entirely up to you. Everybody cool on this? So the next place, and stop me again if you're not cool on this, if this does not make sense to you. I'm going to give you the answers to chapter 2 quiz in just a few moments. We'll go over that right now in just a sec. Where's the next thing that we go to? Opportunity recognition. And interesting. I'm going to have to fix that link. It looks like they broke that link. We're going to take a look at a company called Freitag, which you're going to find fascinating and interesting, and a way of looking at entrepreneurship, of taking trash and turning trash into treasure. So that's the next thing we'll get into, this opportunity recognition thing, and that's the next section here. I'll fix that link as soon as we're done. Okay, questions, comments. Let's take another a pause here for a second. Let's go to a new share, and we'll take a look at mantra, because that's what we're developing right now. We're developing something called a mantra, and that comes from this next section in our textbook, which I think you'll find interesting. One last thing here again. So as for grading in this class, okay, the quizzes, I told you could take a quiz. If you want to take a quiz a second time, no problem. Just send me an email and say, hey, can I take that quiz again? I didn't do as well as I would like. No problem. I'm going to give you the answers in 2 seconds. Individual assignments, okay? These individual things, you do the thing. It's not a quality check. You know, nobody's nickel and diming anybody for anything. You do your best, hand it in, you get full points for it. You don't hand it in, you don't get points for it. That's simple. The group assignments we'll get into, they're less. See how they're less than individual assignments? Then there's a point of purchase display. That's worth 2 points. Don't worry about it. I'll explain it later. It's not until the very end. We have the feasibility study and the feasibility sales presentation. That's the other portion of this. So that just make sure we're perfectly, totally clear what the expectations here in the class. Is everybody cool with that? All right, I'm going to keep going. Now, look, here's the thing. There are very few names that you really, 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 really need to know if you're going to be thinking about the entrepreneurial mindset, because they encompass the two different views of what entrepreneurial mindset means. There's one person on the left named Schumpeter. There's one person on the right named Kerzner. You ought to know these names because they are the embodiment of the two different views of entrepreneurship. Schumpeter is somebody who believed very strongly that entrepreneurship is all about destruction. Kerzner is somebody who believed that entrepreneurship is about exploiting the disequilibria in a market. There's a paradox because there are these two well-known theories, and they go against each other. Can you fit these theories, one more, maybe the other more than the other? I think each situation is individual. But Kerzner claims there's always a disequilibria in markets, meaning there's always a way you could do something faster or better or smarter. You take the wheel, you keep making a wheel, you make a faster wheel, you make a different color wheel, you make a smaller wheel or a bigger wheel or less expensive wheel. That's called disequilibria. Schumpeter, on the other hand, believed everything has to be a creative destruction. So for Schumpeter, it would be, the MP3 player. You have to put another industry out of business. What Amazon is doing to Walmart, unlimited inventory and immediate turnarounds. You could go so far as to say Schumpeter was really talking about human 2.0, which is a little scary. We really need to be in that place. Yes. That is a robot. You see this? This is a human being robot. Is this crazy? This is a video that's actually right on the in the canvas. Take a look at that. That's a robot. That's creative destruction. Here's another robot. When you listen to this person talk, this robot, you can't believe it. We'll talk a little bit about robots. This is really amazing. So in Schumpeter's world, it has to be human 2.0. In fact, interesting thing to you, I think I'll mention this to you again in one of our pop quizzes. Did you know that Saudi Arabia actually bestowed a citizenship on a robot? A citizenship on a robot named Sophia. Is that one of the craziest things you've ever heard? That's just a crazy thing. Anyway, so Schumpeter's whole view, innovation, it has to be a complete destruction and a complete paradigm change. That's what his view is. And which, the Polaroid did to the camera, the iPhone did to the Polaroid. Walmart did to inventory, to mom and pop stores, and then Amazon did to Walmart. Creative destruction, its technical manifestation. Cassette recorder did to the 8-track. Compact disc did to the cassette. MP3 did to the compact disc. Creative destruction. Kerzner, on the other hand, the opposite. One great slogan from a company you know very well. I'm going to say it to you right now. You're going to immediately think of the name of the company. Better ingredients, better pizza, right? Think of that. Whenever you think of Kerzner, think of Papa John's comes out and says, hey, we're entrepreneurial and we're going to do the exact same thing Domino's does, except we're going to have better ingredients. And they're not telling you why they're better ingredients. They're just telling you they're going to be better ingredients, which means what? That's the Kerzner approach. Yeah, we're just going to outdo what they do. We're going to do it better, faster, cheaper. So you'll see a little video there on the the history of the iPad. I won't play it here because we're uploading this on YouTube, but take a look at it on the canvas. It's pretty funny because the iPad was just a big old iPod Touch, and that's all it was. Anyway, if we were to take a look at these two, you'll realize, hey, you need a little bit of both. You need both, and that's what we call a paradox. A paradox. There are a lot of these things. Kerzner involves no element of resource ownership, and monopoly is defined as the impact of input ownership on the competitive process, not the shape of the demand curve facing a firm. A monopoly position could be won just by an alert entrepreneur. These are fascinating stories. If you only know two names in entrepreneurship, in the history of entrepreneurship, know these two, Schumpeter, Kerzner. They're the two different views of what the entrepreneurial mindset are. There's a lot of paradox. Number one, how do you creatively destroy? And on the other hand, just be bigger, faster. Paradox. There are many paradoxes. You have, as an entrepreneurial mindseted individual, have to deal with dealing well with ambiguity. Okay, so, and at the same time, being able to come up with a plan. So you're going to have a plan, and then that plan is going to fall apart. You have to be okay with all of your plans falling apart. Well, what's the point of planning? If you need a plan Z, why bother A through Y? Because you have to do both. It's a paradox. You've got to be creative, but you've got to get the thing done. What do we call entrepreneurs that keep having ideas and coming up with ideas, and they're great, but never actually do anything? We call those wantrepreneurs, right? Because they're creative, but they don't have the discipline to get the thing done. You have to be both. You've got to be able to do it with urgency, but you have to have patience. You got to be flexible, but you got to be organized. You got to be responsive, but you have to have systems. You got to take risks, but you got to be risk averse. You got to be short-term minded, but long-term minded. So you've got all these crazy attributes, and at the same time, all these paradoxes that you can't get away from. What are some of the attributes that you would see in entrepreneurship? Hey, creativity, but analytical, imaginative, but able to network, risk taker, risk manager, motivated, high autonomy. You can be leadership, got to be persuasive, but you got to take initiatives, commitment, tenacity, tolerance. You get the point. So this brings us to something I was talking to you about before, and this, as I mentioned last time, this is really like the crux of the course. You have to understand this heuristic here, and we're going to follow through this. We're going to take business model canvas briefly and put it inside of here, but most importantly, we're going to take a heuristic called effectuation, and we're going to disassemble it and put it into this thing called the pain grid. The pain grid is you start with a pain, which is a need or a problem that needs to be solved. You're going to look at what we actually have. Instead of being wantrepreneurs, what do you have access to? What trash can you turn into treasure? And then how that's going to fix that pain, which describes who this person is, in a way that we can describe it in one sentence or less. How can we pitch it? That's what we're doing. And that pitch, that log line can often come down to a mission statement. You've heard of these things. These are bad mission statements. Semiconductor equipment's going to be a world leader in supplying and blah, 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 blah. Here's another one, also bad. The mission of the whatever is to help something. What's wrong with these? They're not quantifiable. They're too long. They're too abstract. They're not selling one thing. You can't understand it. You want a good mission statement? Let me give you one. This one, I'm not even going to read this one to you. If your mission statement is this long, throw it away. What's a good mission statement? It has to be a mantra. It has to be definable. It has to be observable. Ben & Jerry's, very straightforward. Make, distribute, sell, finest quality, all natural ice cream, related products, and a wide variety of innovative flavors made from Vermont dairy products. Very straightforward. McDonald's, this is funny because this is a very convoluted mission statement. McDonald's used to, believe it or not, well, let's read this one. It says, to satisfy the world's appetite for good food, well served at a price people can afford. That's fantastic. It's very easy to understand. Do you know how convoluted that is compared to their old mission statement? The previous mission statement, it went like this: a predictable experience. Did you get that? That's it. A predictable experience. I think they did that. McHappy. Sell good merchandise at a reasonable price. Treat your customers as you would your friends. Leon Bean. Makes sense. GE. I love GE Evil Corporation. You got to love GE Evil Corporation. They tell you straight out, they are here to dominate the world. We're going to be number one, or regretfully number two, in every market we serve, revolutionize this company, and have the agility of a small enterprise, or eat them for lunch. I love this one. Bass Ship Works. We will build good ships at a profit if we can, at a loss if we must, but always good ships. That says it all. And this is my all-time favorite mission statement of all time, and is the clearest one I've ever heard of in my lifetime, and I probably ever will be. You ready? Our whole people and empire have vowed themselves to the single task of cleansing Europe of the Nazi pestilence and saving the world from the new dark ages. We seek to beat the life and soul of Hitler and Hitlerism, that alone, that all the time, that to the end. Do you think that that is a compelling, inspiring, clear, measurable objective and concise? That is where you need to be. That is called a log line. Another one, here's a goodie. By the way, Steve Jobs said this about his company. Okay, if you're working on something exciting that you really care about, the vision pulls you. And General Eisenhower said almost the same thing. Pull the string and it's going to follow wherever you wish. Push it, it's going to go nowhere at all. That is the mission. That is the mission statement. How about this? Have gun, will travel. Yeah, baby. There you go. We know that from the Paladin, right? That's the message that the business card adds. Principal's name, contact. That's all you need to say. That's it. All right. So real quick here, defining your mission is chapter 2. And that's what we're talking about right now. In fact, if we were to look at it, here's some of the answers to the quiz question. Actually, all of the answers to the quiz question. First, mission is why we do what we do. For a reason, for being, a purpose. That's it. The customer is just one who values your service. The primary customer is the person whose life is changed through the organization's work. But so who's the customer? One who values your services, one whose life is changed, and supporting customers, volunteers, members, partners, funders, referral sources, all of them are the customer. What else? The mission is a leverage. It's a leverage that results from aligning the purposes and contributions of the people from within and outside the organization. Has to be both. That's your mission. How about this? To employ mission most effectively, leaders and their organizations must revisit the mission every 3 years or so. You have to keep on it. You have to make sure it's fresh. And a mission must be shared and developed with others. Yes. Because remember, you do not own your brand. You do not own your items. Your customer owns your brand. Now, that does not mean your customer is always right, but it means whatever your customer thinks they're buying from you is what they're buying from you, regardless of what you think you're selling them. Never define a mission alone. Use your customers. Use it as part of the pain grid process. The entrepreneur is always searching for change, responds to it, exploits it as an opportunity, and there's a zen. There's a zen to this. You must start with your mission, what it is you're doing, what your point is, and then refine that, because that mission is really your log line that describes what pain, what problem you're fixing. And there's a zen to all of this thing. The mission drives the goals, drives the objectives, becomes the action steps, which becomes the budget, which becomes the appraisal. And this is something called the OODA loop, and we're going to get back to this. So again, it is all about the pain grid. That is what happens. Those are your answers to the quiz from chapter 2. Start with the pain. How are you fixing with what you have that problem, that person in that sentence? And that is quiz 2. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop the recording. So those of you watching, go ahead and if you have any questions, please send me an email at jbl15@psu.edu. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop that right now.